We are honored to be joined by two very special friends, Evelyn McGee Colbert, President of the Board of Trustees, Montclair Film, and also Tom Hall, Executive Director, Montclair Film. Good to see both of you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Put Montclair Film in perspective for us, Evie. 10 years ago, by the way, it's 10-year anniversary, right?
Yes, yeah.
I remember being a founding board member with you and our great friend Bob Feinberg and others.
Right.
It is not the same organization, bigger and better than ever. Evie said it. Put it in context for us. Where are we today?
Well, we are about to really officially start our 10th anniversary. Our 10th festival will take place in October. But since those early days, we've grown into a year-round organization. We have our own building. We have our own year-round programming. We offer classes as well as screenings in our screening room. And this year, sort of because of COVID, we've actually expanded to a virtual platform as well. So there's a lot of content that we have now that I think the first year maybe we thought we'd have 10 films and we had maybe 20 films. It's a whole different ballgame now. We have 10 days and hundreds of films and panels and discussions and parties. So the festival itself has grown, but the organization primarily is now a year-round organization.
Absolutely. And Tom, let me ask you this. For the October Festival, and we'll put up the website for Montclair Film. People can find out more, October 21st to the 30th. Mostly in person, Tom?
Yeah. This year, I think we're going to really go for in person for October. Last year, we were forced to move the festival from May to October because of COVID. We actually made the decision, I think the week that New York City and New Jersey started shutting down, we were agonizing about whether we should postpone May of 2020. And it's such an obvious choice in retrospect to have done that. And when we went to October this past year, we were able to do virtual screenings and drive-in screenings and have people in a COVID compliant situation to watch films, have conversations and discussions. And it went really well, but we're itching to get back in person with our audiences and do what we can. I think we're going to retain some virtual components of the festival so we can reach people who might not otherwise be able to make it to Montclair for what we offer. But I think the primary thrust of the festival this year is going to be an expansion back into in-person events.
Yeah. Evie, let me ask you this. I just told you before we got on the air that I watched the conversation that took place that Tom facilitated between you and Stephen, your husband, who's been such a big part of this festival, not just festival of Montclair Film all these years. Your passion, his passion, your collective passion for film, it was clear. But for the rest of us, where do you believe, particularly 16, 17 months beyond into this pandemic, where do you believe film, the place for film is in our lives? And has it changed dramatically?
Well, I'm sure Tom has a lot of thoughts on that too. I think what's really interesting about what's changing is that I think film will always be something people want to watch and engage in. But in order to get people to leave their homes, I think it needs to become and will become a little bit more of an experience. So I think it's independent movie theaters seem to be doing better than in some ways than the big chain movie theaters because it's, if you could see a movie on your couch, the reason to go out is to have a special experience, whether it means going with friends, which is wonderful, but also perhaps the environment's nice, or maybe there's a panel discussion after, maybe the director's there, things like that. I think we're seeing that kind of engagement, people crave it, especially after COVID, right? We've all been so isolated. So we're looking for opportunities that are community-based and conversation-driven. So I think that film is always going to have a big part, but I actually think movie theaters will still have a big part in the community. The experience will just be a little different, I think.
Tom, talk about that, because Montclair Film from day one always has brought people together, not just for the art, if you will, of film, but just being together, experiencing it separately and together. Tom, talk about it.
Yeah, one of the things that's important to us, I think, is fostering a sense of understanding and empathy in the community. We work really hard with community partners, organizations all over New Jersey to bring people together in a room around a story so that they can talk about their experience and understand each other, one another a lot better. And I think film is really great for that format. When we've been home during COVID and we've been watching on our streaming platforms, whatever, that sort of connection between us and other people sitting in the dark and sort of empathizing and sharing our feelings and then having a conversation afterward with one another has been lost. And I know people have dived deep into libraries and what's happening on streaming services, and it seems like there's an overwhelming amount of content available. And I think we've also lost the curatorial function in a lot of ways of a cinema giving you 6 choices instead of an unlimited number of choices, and picking and having that event around those 6 choices a week, let's say. So yes, I'm hoping people value that and will return to movie theaters to experience that.
By the way, as you go on the website, you'll not only find out all the films that are going to be shown for those period that day, October 21st to the 30th, when the film festival goes back live, if you will, but a whole lot of other information as to how you can contribute, how you can volunteer, how you can be a part of it. And also, in terms of arts education, it's been extraordinary. Evie, real quick on arts education and teaching film, all aspects of film, to so many young people and others. Evie?
Yeah, well, what's interesting, again, in the COVID environment, we have found that we were able to engage with our students virtually in a way that we weren't quite sure we'd be able to, but our education classes have been doing wonderfully. And I think particularly students, kids have been so isolated that this kind of education, any kind of creative arts education is really important to the social and emotional learning piece. So we are really dedicated to it in our programming, but I think all across the state, arts education in New Jersey is thriving. And I think it's because it's so badly needed. This has been a really difficult year. So we're hoping that will continue to grow.
Tom, real quick, give me 30 seconds on that. And I'm going to ask Evie about being on the governor's commission, the Governor Murphy's Restart and Recovery Commission, and particularly the arts piece of it. Real quick on the remote learning, if you will, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. So our education department has worked to reinvent itself, as so many organizations have during COVID. And we've reached, hundreds of kids online. I'm a father of 2 kids who spent a year doing remote learning. I know what those challenges are like on a day-to-day basis, working from home with them. And so I think we were trying to do something that's a little bit different, a little bit more creative. We're going back in person this summer. So we're going to have summer programs in person starting in June, and we're very excited about that.
Can people sign up on the website for that, Tom?
MontclairFilm.org, yep. Just click on the education button and you can see a roster of classes for summer.
Great. Before I let you go, Evie, the Governor Murphy's Restart and Recovery Commission, the importance of arts in New Jersey's economic recovery. Talk about it, please.
Well, it's really been an incredible experience for me. I think that one of the most amazing things about the commission that Governor Murphy put together is a concern that the recovery be an equitable recovery, that in New Jersey, that we don't just return to where we were, we return practically in a better place. So with my hat on, helping with the arts and culture, we've been able to raise a lot of relief funding for arts organizations, but also we're really seeking to help the really small arts organizations that might not have had access to state support in the past. And the governor and his team have been incredibly responsive and generous in terms of not just CARES funding, but also through the EDA, small business and nonprofits can apply for support. So I think New Jersey's poised to actually come back in a better place than it was before, not just in the arts, but in terms of education, solving, digital divide, lack of broadband access. There are a lot of things that this commission is focused on to make sure that New Jersey comes back strong. And it's been a real privilege for me to put the arts hat on and serve.
Well said, Evie. To Evie and Tom, I want to thank you so much. Also to the team at Montclair Film. Again, our colleague and friend, Bob Feinberg, who brought us together, also in the world of public broadcasting. We wish you all the best, and we're looking forward to the film festival, October 21st to the 30th, 2021. Also, NJPAC will be a part of that, we hope, as well.
Yeah, closing night in NJPAC. Can't wait. October 30th.
We've never missed that one. My wife and I, and so many other people, it's packed. Thank you so much, Evie. Tom, I'm Steve Adubato. Yeah, our pleasure. Sorry for cutting you off. It's remote. There's always a delay. We'll be back. You know about that. We'll be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Delta Dental of New Jersey, Hackensack Meridian Health, Investors Bank, Summit Health, NJM Insurance Group, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, ADP, the Fidelco Group, and by Seton Hall University. Promotional support provided by ROINJ and by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ. part of the USA Today network.
Many of New Jersey's children have been affected by COVID-19, but now that there's a safe and effective vaccine available for children ages 12 and older, you can help make COVID-19 history by getting yourself and your child vaccinated. Let's end this pandemic together and help all children get back to being kids. Visit hackensackmeridianhealth.org/COVID-19 to learn more or to schedule a vaccine appointment today.